Hello, everyone. This is Ernie Humphrey, the CEO of Treasury Webinars. Thank you for taking the time to join us for one of my favorite sessions to deliver building, managing, communicating your professional brand. I don't think I wished everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day yet. I hope you are able. It looks like some of you are good at navigating the event platform. It's a little clunky, but I appreciate your patience. With that, we're going to talk about your brand. So, this is my brand. New suit. Hopefully you got to experience the initial episode of the Treasuryverse. So let me know what you think about that. So let's go ahead and hop into our first general session. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what your professional brand is. Oftentimes people talk about, brand, but nobody really talks about what it is. And then we're going to talk about some components of that. We're going to talk about your professional network. We're going to talk about your brand with work and colleagues, your brand with your bank and fintech partners, and your brand with your professional peers and potential future employers. And your brand is especially important in today's world. So always happy to talk about that. We're going to try and make this one a little bit more interactive. I know you guys wouldn't be able to live with yourself if you didn't have any polling questions today. So I know you're all anxious for that. And so we're going to go ahead and hit you up with a polling question. Please go ahead and answer your question so I can really help me out with my session here, because I really don't know whether or not people have, really understand their brand. So hopefully you can go ahead and click on the poll here. Looks like it's supposed to be going out, but with our technology, who knows? So I'm not seeing anyone. There we go. All right, please go ahead and respond to the polling question. So I just want to take a look, a little bit of a level set here on how in depth I should go in certain areas of the presentation today. Of course, I'm glad you're here if you strongly agree so you can get better, but I hope that some of you will have some great takeaways here from the session. And of course, always a resource to you to help you with that professional brand. So let's go ahead and give you guys a few more seconds. Don't have everyone voted yet. It only takes a second. Go ahead and click on there for me. I appreciate it, so we can have that a little bit, as much as we can, an interactive session with the platform we have here. So I'm going to go ahead and close the session real quickly. Obviously, we don't have a tremendous population. We don't have a huge crowd in here, and I think that's partly due to the technology. So thank you those that made it. So let's go ahead and close the polling question. And so I'll just go ahead and I'll share with you without sharing the results. So we've got over 35% of you agree or strongly agree, so that's good. So hopefully you're going to make your brand even better. And the majority of you can't say that you agree. So hopefully we can give you an incentive to spend some time on your brand and give you some easy ways to do that, to really start building that brand. And so your brand, what is it, right? People say, what is that? I mean, I asked myself that question many years ago. So it's really about what you know, how you communicate what you know. So what you know, part of how you impart your knowledge is part of your brand, how you communicate, and then how you communicate what you want to know. You communicate that to your colleagues and peers, and they are going to help you get more knowledge. And then also how you do what you do. So how do you get things accomplished in a collaborative manner, how you treat your peers, and how you offer value to your peers. So your brand is always on. I talked to a class at Ball State a few weeks ago, and I told them when they're sitting there in this classroom, guess what? Your brand is on display to me. Your brand is on display to your colleagues. I don't want to make you nervous or anything like that about worrying about your brand all the time, but you need to be thinking about your brand. And for me, what I really didn't realize was that I had a brand at work, and I really didn't manage that. I was just trying to get stuff done. I was running people over, and that's not good. That's part of your brand. You have a brand with your colleagues at work, across your departments. And so I think a lot of people don't understand the breadth of brand. I think in our world today, people just think it's only your online brand, and it's much more than that. So just want to do that. So what are the dimensions of your brand? Some of the key parts of your brand. It's your value proposition. We just covered that in our last session. something a lot of people still have a little struggle with: your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your skill set, which we'll talk about, I believe, after this session, and then your network. So all of these things are dimensions of your brand, and you have to optimize all of these different areas of your brand. You're only as strong as your weakest link. And so this is a diagram that I put together, and I really like this. It's the puzzle, right? So your brand is in the middle there, right? And then we have the dimensions. You have your value proposition, your resume, right? You have your LinkedIn profile, you have your network, and your skill set. So all of these things are a part of your brand, and especially your skill set is something that is going to really enhance your brand as well. So just think about all these things. These are the dimensions of your brand. And so to talk about the professional value proposition, again, we covered this. If those of you really attended my power session, appreciate that. But professional value proposition, we're going to keep it simple. Just think about the good things your current or previous bosses would say about you. So if that reference call, let's say you use Mike Richards as a recruiter, which I recommend, what are your current or previous bosses going to say about you? How do you do it? What have you done? And more importantly, how have you done it? What about your current or previous colleagues? What are they going to say about you? Those that you work with in your department, beyond your department. What about those people that used to work with you now, or used to work for you? So what are they going to say? Your leadership skills, and then also, what good things would your bank partner say about you? For me, and back in the day, probably not a lot. So I learned a lot from that, how to be a better customer, and I encourage people to do that and give them tools to do that. What about your fintech partners, your consultants that you use? And so those are all part of your value proposition, because those are all people that can help you own your career and deliver your career success. And so we need to be communicating that value proposition at all times. It really emanates from us. It emanates from my jacket. Of course, I know that. The pillars of my value proposition, I like to show people, because they're like, well, if it's so easy, how did you do it? So for me, these are the pillars of my value proposition. I'm a human being 24/7, which means I make mistakes. I don't have a business switch. Now, does Ernie have a bad day? Of course I do, but I still act like a human being, and I expect others to do the same. I'm vested in the success of all around me. Those of you that know me know that this is true. Even with my clients, sometimes I'm a squeaky wheel, because I'm trying to help them do a better job of engaging treasury professionals. I can follow as well as lead, believe it or not. So I have many comments on that on my LinkedIn profile and my other connections. I'm passionate, dedicated, and love to learn. And then I try and anticipate what needs to be done and do it without being told. And all these things you will see. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, you're going to see it. If you look at my resume, you see it. If you watch my webinars, you see it. If you see me in person, you see it. And so it's really part of who I am. So melding kind of some good things about me personally with myself professionally, and let's create a human being that's 24/7. So what is my elevator pitch? I endeavor to impact the career success of treasury and finance professionals with passion, personality, and a degree of humor. And that's what I do. And then these other things are how I do it, right? How do I do it? I'm dedicated. I love to learn. I love to communicate. I collaborate. So all these things, I communicate, I collaborate, I listen, I learn. So that's how I do it. And I do it in my own way. I do it with passion. I do it with style. I do it without being expecting perfection, because I'm not perfect, and I love to show people how to learn from their mistakes. So that's my value proposition. So that wasn't very hard. So let's talk a little bit about the resume here. Let's be honest here. Just asking you to share with me. I'm not going to tell. Asking you to share with me the last time you updated your resume. Have you done that in the last few months, 3 to 6 months ago, 7 to 12 months ago, over a year ago? And I don't remember. I'll tell you that I actually updated my resume not too long ago, because I was trying to help my son update his resume. So I actually have gone over and done that. Of course, I also created what I call an innovative resume as well. And so I'm expecting that many of you probably have done this, because everyone is kind of looking at the Great Resignation, which means you're looking to switch your jobs or be ready to do that. So I did a poll on LinkedIn. 40% of the people changed jobs last year or plan to do so this year. So wow, that's amazing to me. Hopefully through this virtual forum today, we will empower you to make an educated decision if you want to switch and not go somewhere. The grass is not always greener, my friends, as you well know. So let me go ahead and close this out, and then we'll go ahead and I'll share with you the top line results. So I'm glad to see 38% of you have done it in the last few months, which is great. I recommend that 3 to 6 months, 25%. And then over 25% of you over a year ago, you don't know. So that's something I strongly encourage you to do, even if you're not actively looking for a job. So someone may find your LinkedIn profile compelling because you watched my session on LinkedIn profile optimization, and they'll reach out to you. And maybe you don't think that you're looking for an opportunity, but sometimes you might want to see what they have to say. So you're always going to have to give them a resume. Wouldn't you like to have that resume ready and just send it over to them? And they already like you, so you need to have that resume ready to go. So that's just something that I encourage people to do. Is it fun? No. And the other thing I would encourage you to do is maybe if you have someone like Mike Richards, who's a relationship person, Mike would probably be happy to take a look at your resume. Sorry, Mike, but you would to help you get that lined up. So again, I already talked about some resume tips. Mike did a great job. So you got a deeper dive there, but we're going to give you the highlights here for those of you that weren't able to make that session. Your resume length, you want it shorter. You want a summary paragraph, not really an about paragraph. Employment history, experience, just go back. If it's impactful, 10 to 15 years. Achievements, how have you made a positive impact? How, not only what you've done, but how. Qualifications, relevant for the job opportunity, in order. And then, of course, in today's world, we really want to list the technical skills that we have. Word, Excel, TMS system, AP automation system, AR automation system. I think I said ERP, that's important as well. And don't put references available upon request, Mike. That's from Mike. He's the pro, 20 years of recruiting. They'll ask for references, but you don't need to put that on there. You're wasting space on there. So that's from Mike. This is just an example. So as always, if you want a copy of the slides, please let me know. This is an example that Mike shared with me, so I'm not going to go through that. Just wanted to show you how clean it was. There's not 300 bullet points. It's pretty clean treasury manager profile. So Mike has a lot of examples of these on Treasury Recruitment Company website. So of course I have to show you mine. This is an innovative resume that I borrowed the format from. There was a gentleman on LinkedIn who had a pretty impressive profile, but not like off the charts of what he's done. He shared this format, and he shared with me that I have had interviews every time I've sent my resume in with Google, whoever you want, who you think is the cat's meow in terms of everything, and he's always gotten a response. And so this is just something that you might want to send as an attachment to your resume, or if you're looking to do something that's creative, a creative role or something like that, it's important. So you want a photo, Mike will tell you not to have a photo. Mine has photo. Here's my professional motto. I do everything with personality. I've been a CEO, CMO, and COO. You have your LinkedIn profile, which is good. And your LinkedIn profile is really your online brand statement. I would call your experience that matters. What is it for that job? A couple things. What you're most proud of. That's your rainmaker proof. Everybody wants to be a rainmaker. How have you helped the company grow, make money, your agility? And then I really like the bottom part of this resume because it's something that I've never had seen before. How you structure your time. So it shows that you have a work-life balance on what you do in your time. You have some key attributes, and then you have qualities, things you want to work on. So it shows that you don't think that you're perfect, and so that's important. And then your education is down there in the bottom right corner. Of course, I'm incredibly proud of my Purdue education. I have Purdue jacket on. I've talked about Purdue probably 4 times today, and I'll do it some more. But this is just something to think about as an attachment, something to really set yourself apart, especially with LinkedIn. It's really easy to apply for jobs, and so people are going through all these different resumes, and so even though you're probably the best candidate, you have to kind of set yourself apart. So this is just my brand. So this innovator resume is consistent with my brand. If you don't feel this is consistent with your brand, understand that, but it's just something that I found. Happy to share that template with you. So professional value proposition, we already talked about that. It's your elevator pitch, rocket science. Work with me, we can do it in 5 minutes or less. We already did that. All right, what about your online brand? So let's go ahead and go up a notch. If you've never done this before, it might be, who knows, it might be painful. Someone else might have the same name as you, which might make it interesting. So you want to make sure there's not a lot of bad stuff, because people might think that it's you. So I just shared my name, and I probably have quite a bit, but that's just because I've been working on this for a long time. So the first thing that's going to come up, like as I told you before, is your LinkedIn profile. And then if you are fortunate enough to speak or be asked to speak, sometimes those things are going to come up given how good they are at SEO. So at FEI, it's been a while since I have spoken for them, but apparently they still like me. Treasury Excel is a community strategic treasurer, honored to work with Craig Jeffrey. I was an author. Business Insider is actually more well-read than the Wall Street Journal. Did some stuff with APQC, and then I've got some podcasts. So just kind of level sets where you're at. And if you don't like what you see, go up there and start speaking and things. Volunteer for AFP, volunteer for podcast, and get yourself comfortable with that. You also might want to add some more terms there. So let's just say, and I didn't do this for this one. Let's say I wanted to show my colleagues, my potential clients, I can do CFO stuff. I would type in Ernie Humphrey CFO, but I just wanted to type my name in Treasury Webinars. Guess what comes up first? My LinkedIn profile, some other things you recognize, but you also want to look at what your brand's associated with, and that's great, because I've got some people that I really respect, especially Strategic Treasure, APQC, FEI, and HighRadius as well. So it looks like I'm collaborating. Also, if people do a little research, they see that these are my strategic partners, and they are posting my content on their websites, which is good for my brand. And so talk about your LinkedIn profile. Again, there was a full session on this. We'll get to this pretty quickly. Your photo. You want to have a photo that's consistent with your brand. Most of you, I would not recommend you have a cartoon. Probably not your brand. Your banner, show it off. To me, even though the tech isn't going real well and the crowd isn't as great as I thought, that doesn't matter. This is an amazing opportunity for folks, and it's going to get bigger and better. Treasury Professional Development Virtual Forum, it's definitely needed. When I did a survey beginning of the year, what people most wanted to see in terms of content, they wanted professional development. But those of you that came, kudos to you. There's a lot of your peers that don't, and you will stand out, and you will get the best jobs at the best places. So your name, your LinkedIn search hook down there, I have Innovator, Treasuryverse Creator. You definitely want to have your job title in there. I think I actually have edited this to put CFO and CMO in there. So you want to have your job title, but more than that, you won't want to have more than that to get into the search engines. LinkedIn definitely has some search engine logic. Your interest hooks, your followers. So you want to endeavor to have at least a few hundred, if not more than 500 followers or connections. And then if you turn in the creator mode, you get followers, and then your about statement, which can be something about you, how you do it. For me, I have a little bit of a unique statement. I had one of my colleagues that I work with who really captured me and actually helped me come up with my professional value proposition. I have a high level of professionalism, and I do it with humor and genuine kindness. So that's pretty amazing that someone thinks that about me anyway, besides my mom. So that just to me made me stand out, and I get a lot of compliments on that particular part. Just driving down again, if you have the horsepower to do these things, share some things you're working on. There's my resume. Some of these things are not as important as they used to be, like the articles and projects, if you have them, activity. What we're trying to do is convey in your brand that you have a passion for learning and keeping on top of your game and giving back. And that's really important for the skills you need to deliver value. So you'll see that later on. So my look at my LinkedIn profile, I think you can see that it's consistent with my brand. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit flashy. I'm trying to highlight things that matter. This is a tremendously important. Shame on LinkedIn for de-emphasizing the recommendations section. That should be right at the top. So if I'm looking for my talent and Mike's looking for his talent, right, and everybody else is looking for their talent, then this is something that you want to do. Let me go ahead. I have a power issue here, so I have enough technical problems today, right? Let's see if I can get my power going back over here, because I'm gonna have a power issue, and then you're gonna cut off again, and then I'm gonna complain it's the technology when it's really not. So live TV people. So let's go ahead and get that taken care of. Yeah, so I don't have any sponsors for this event, so I can do funny stuff like that because I don't really care. All right, so you want a recommendation from someone that you've worked for, your boss. You want someone that you've worked with, and then you want someone that worked for you. And depending on your business, you would want a recommendation for a client, a customer, in that sense, and maybe a tech partner. So I have here, just show you, I've got Chase, he's great. Treasury leader, thought leader, he's from my webinars. John was my boss, and John P. I worked with, and I have 35 recommendations, which I don't probably deserve, and I've given about 13 or 14. So watch that you don't do a tit for tat on recommendations. Building your brand, you need to share your expertise and challenges live and online. All of you on here, I recognize most of you. I know you're all brilliant and you have knowledge to share. If you want to volunteer, especially at the AFP regionals, I'm sure they would be happy to have you speak. Let me know if you're interested in that. You should speak at live events, attend live networking events, not just things that are conferences we don't get to network. You can speak on webinars and promote on LinkedIn. You can speak on podcasts, and the more that you share on LinkedIn, maybe you share a blog on LinkedIn, maybe you comment right on LinkedIn. People see that you speak and you're active, they will come after you. I can tell you this. Ernie never worked in accounts payable, but I did a lot of webinars and research on AP automation, and I've spoken probably 50 times on AP automation. I still get requests every day to do consulting calls on people that want to understand AP automation. So I just put myself out there and people come and find you. So your brand building becomes organic. I get people that reach out to me to do podcasts all the time. So, and you have the knowledge to do it. You are smarter than me, trust me. So you just need to learn how to toot your own horn a little bit. I can help you do that. So what about your professional network? Let's go ahead and give you another polling question because I'm sure you all want to see one. Just curious. Again, I'm not going to tell on you. Also, these polling questions are getting you to think about it, right? Do you actively build and manage your professional network? What do you think about that? Oh, of course I do. Strongly agree. Somewhat. Nah, neither disagree. Somewhat disagree, or strongly disagree. So go ahead and please just give me a button push here, and then I'll take a quick peek and kind of see where we're at. And this is just for me. This is more given we don't have like 3,000 people here with us, just to give us a level set to get you to think about it, right? If you can't agree, why not? You know, most of us. I don't even know if I strongly agree, to be honest with you. I mean, I have a lot of stuff going on, so I shouldn't say that, but I'm honest. I endeavor to strongly agree. But certainly, if you disagree or strongly disagree, so we have, I'll give you guys a few more seconds. Go ahead, give me a couple more people here. It's only going to take you a second. Just click the button. I know you're not sleeping because you're wanting to see if I do another wardrobe change. So be careful this afternoon. I'm going to go into full-blown stand-up mode, and then it's karaoke mode, people. So you better stay tuned for that because it's going to be tremendous. All right, let's go ahead and close that poll. And so what we saw, we have almost 60% can't agree. So hopefully we will inspire you in terms of spending some time doing that. It's incredible. And it becomes organic. I think that's the part that people don't really understand. Once you make an effort to build your network, and I'm going to confess, don't tell LinkedIn on me. There are bots that you can use to build your network with connections. So I can help you craft the messages, and you can really build your network. And you turn on your bot, goes all day, doesn't trip LinkedIn's little rules. And so it's a really, really cost-effective way in terms of your time to build your brand. So what is your professional network? So let's think about this. This is another area where I don't think people give you guys enough knowledge on what does that mean. Maybe there is a course on networking, but if it's one of these LinkedIn professors who are hit or miss, and they're going to charge you money which you don't need to pay. So your departmental colleagues, you probably don't think about that. I don't think I thought about that. They're really in my network. Do they value me? Do I value them? Do we really collaborate, right? How do we do that? What about your colleagues beyond Treasury, right? And HR, if AP, AR, right? FP&A, all across the enterprise. What about that? Would you consider them to be in your network? Do you know what's going on with them? Do you have conversations with them? Do you try and help them be more successful? Do they help you? Are you supportive? Well, you should endeavor to help people. And guess what? When you help people, they're going to help you back. And if they don't, oh well, pay it forward. Your bank, service providers, tech partners, and again, when I was younger, I was bad about this. They called me the bulldog because I used to get on the leg of my treasury relationship manager and bite on it, wouldn't let go until I got what I wanted. But these are really key, especially those recommendations on your profile as you're looking, or wow, this guy really gets along with his bank, his service providers, the tech providers. He has really productive relationships with all these things, and this is going to be valuable. So if you're a leader and it shows that you can engage with your bank, service providers, and tech partners, it just adds to your value proposition. With your customers and suppliers as well, you might not think it's great, but I can tell you, my customers, and so just about you're all my customers. I pay the bills with my thought leadership partners, and so I had an opportunity about 2 years ago. My friends at Stamply reached out to me, wanted to offer me a position, which I took and had it for like 10 months. But what did they do, right? They're like, well, I want to talk to your customers. And I'm like, oh, okay. So the good news was I had relationships with my customers, and people don't recommend this, but I don't care. I'm friends with all my customers and my clients, and I'm friends with some of you. That's just the way I am. So when my boss called my customer, she was actually floored. She goes, I cannot believe how much these people enjoy working with you and the relationships that you've built, and I invest in those. And so that was easy. So that really blew her doors off, and I got an opportunity, right? And my suppliers as well. Here's what I say about my suppliers and my tech and stuff. So I'll bash on GoToWebinar and everything, but if they'll engage with me, I'll help them get better, and I will be a marketing advocate for them. I'll toot their horn all day long. And then your professional peers. I know some of us think, yeah, I went to a conference and I saw Joe. So what? Do you connect with Joe? Do you interact with Joe? Does Joe understand your professional value proposition? What does Joe know what you can do to help him? What can you do to help Joel or Joe, all these guys? So think about these things. And it's not just about I've got all these connections in my network. So what? What do you do for them? Are they active? Are they engaged? Now I can't tell you I'm engaged with all 19,000 of my followers, but I can tell you that if someone reaches out to me, I'm going to take that and be as supportive as possible, no matter what that means for that person. So I can build those bridges, and they'll tell others about me. And it's just organic. So when I go places, other than having on a suit, people say, I heard about you. And not that I say that's always good, because, I'm an acquired taste. But it's amazing what you do when you invest in your network, and how that can really open up opportunities to you, and it makes your life more fun. So what about you're building a strategy? So you have to think about this. We don't get enough of this. How do you build your network? Well, the first thing you do is you kind of level set, right? So you say, here's my network, right? Who do I want to know? Who do I want to know? The list, man. Who do I need to know? That's an important one. So for me, who do I need to know? What I don't mean just know their name, know them, collaborate with them. So even with your colleagues in your department, do you really know those people? Do they know you, right? And then of course you want to look at who do you already know. So who do I want to know? Who do I need to know, right? Need goes up a little bit. And then here's another one. well, I can't get to this person. Well, who who knows who you want to know, and then who knows who you need to know. And a lot of times you can see that on LinkedIn, so you might need an introduction, but it's really important. So think about all your sources, right? Who do I want to know, need to know, and I already know within my department, across my company, with my peers. And so your company, there's people in your company that are movers and shakers across other departments in your department. You need to get those people on your side, be on their side. If you want to have a good organic opportunities in the treasury business, there's a few people that are movers and shakers. I'm a little shaky, I think, myself, so I think some of you know that I'd help you. There's a woman, B. Salazar, she's well known, Seth Marlowe. So there's some people out there that you would really do well to know. Mike Richards is someone that you should really know, none better in helping connect you with the right opportunities. And so just be thinking about these things strategically about your network. So it's almost like, okay, here's what I am, here's what I need. How do I fill those gaps? And sometimes it's a numbers thing, and sometimes there's just people that you have in your network that you need to nurture. You can't let those relationships die. And you're like, Ernie, I don't have time to do this. And I'm like, yes, you do. You need to. Right. And it's just something that allows you to pivot to something else, half hour on a weekend, 15 minutes, it all matters. So here's something that, I mean, some of it sounds common sense and some people feel awkward doing it, but it's just the way that it works. And to be successful, how about you ask people how you can help them, right? And your colleagues. So the conversation starter is always, I always say to people, I'm just curious, John, I don't normally get to accounts payable very often. What are the things that really take up a lot of your day, things that kind of annoy you, and people will, yeah, and you're like, okay. And then guess what? They tell you what they need. You can see if you can help them. Hey, I was on this webinar the other day about AP automation. There was this crazy guy in a color suit, but he had some really good content. Share relevant information with your connections. Now it's easy to do that online with LinkedIn, but you can do that in person, having conversations, going out to lunch with people, just being engaged in social activities, investing in knowing something on a personal level about everyone that's key in your network. So you don't want to be stalkery or anything, but sometimes people share. You can Facebook, you can find a connection with them. Maybe you're a runner, they're a runner, your kids go to Purdue, something like that. So those things help you build those connections and help you build trust. If someone's on LinkedIn posting, support their congratulations. Don't push the button which sends the same thing out. Communicate how you can collaborate with them. And so there's certain people you need in your network. You want to reach out LinkedIn. Make sure you don't use the bot for that one. Make sure that you convey why is it going to be mutually beneficial to work with you. And so for me, sometimes I'm looking for new strategic partners. So I reach out and I immediately give them the carrot that, hey, I have over 19,000 direct connections on LinkedIn, and and I love your work. So you got to do the ego, pump up the ego, show them immediately, and then they'll connect with you, and then that starts your relationship. And then certain people, you don't want your relationship momentum to come to a halt. We have a lot of network people, we have a lot of emails, we have a lot of blah 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 blah, right? But we need to make sure that we keep that momentum going. Just to touch base, I know a lot of us are more comfortable with the Zoom call now, but just the phone call, the phone still works as far as I know. And maybe it is a text message if you have that person's phone number, but make sure that you stay engaged. And then just some general things for you to look at. You need to get to know people and let them get to know you. I'm a little bit different on this. If you do it, it's incredibly powerful. And understand the value of your relationship to people. So if you just figure out a way you can help them. So that, let's say, I can be an asset to the CFO. Maybe I'm the expert on LinkedIn and everybody wants to ask me about LinkedIn. That's fine. Maybe I'm the expert on AI. Maybe I'm the expert on Bitcoin, right? Find your space and then communicate the value. Let them know that you're the go-to person, and then communicate your expectations to certain people and let them know what to expect from you. This is probably most relevant on the work front. So you're collaborating with people, you're communicating with people, and there's some people that create relationship friction just because they like to point fingers, they like to send emails all the time, they like to see why, and you have to just tell them, look, John, I mean, I like you, I want to work with you, but these things aren't productive to me, so I would appreciate it if you wouldn't send me so many emails, John. If you think something is going to raise your blood pressure, please call me. I'm on the phone. I'd like a phone call. I don't like emails. And so, and let let them know what to expect, right, from you, and make sure that you're meeting those expectations, and ask them, right, what do you expect of me? What are my internal customers? It seems kind of awkward to do, but do it anyway, right? If I had a penny for every time I had a conversation with someone and just walked up to someone I didn't know at a professional conference, and they gave me a strange look, man, I would be a billionaire. I would be a Jeff Bezos. Did that stop me from talking to anyone ever? No, that didn't happen overnight. So the how, no one ever tells you the how. Build a network, social events. So you don't have to be telling people where you work, but it comes up naturally. And so what I do tell people is sometimes you start a connection on a social level, then you find out you have an interest, and then let's move that to LinkedIn. Let's send them a LinkedIn invitation, right? And then professional conferences, as we're going, I think we're seeing some later this year. So kudos to you. If you're able to go, please go. LinkedIn, I'm a huge LinkedIn advocate. Professional associations, the regional associations are what I really support. These days. I'm the president of AFP of Indiana, so look at those. We're seeing some collaboration on the professional association. So now when you go to that regional conference, which is much more cost effective and often has better content, you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck, and you're going to get a lot more interaction with your peers. Public speaking, you meet people, speak at conferences, that builds your brand. People want to come up, they talk to you, they respect you. You build credibility. I talked about podcasts. We're starting to see some online communities come back, not yet. Stay tuned. And then your alumni networks. And so, I'm going to talk about Purdue again, but I went to Purdue. Somehow I got on the board of the Purdue Alumni Association. Guess what? We have 750,000 alumni across the world. So guess what? I have access to 750,000 people. If I tell people I went to Purdue, right, they're going to have a positive reaction. They're probably going to pay attention. And so part of having a good network is knowing your connection with them. So what you can do when you message them or reach out, you have a hook, right, at the beginning or the end. So if I'm Purdue, say Boiler Up, or when's the last time you've been to campus? I see you graduated from Purdue, went to Craner, and so build that personal connection with them. Maybe your kids went to the same high school, maybe you're both runners, and so having that network, that's the build part, but also gets them to accept you in their network. So on your LinkedIn, LinkedIn connections, if I tell people I went to Purdue and they went to Purdue, almost never has anyone not accepted my LinkedIn invitation. So how do you build your brand at work? Some of these things are repetitive, so I won't read through these, but this works in every way you're looking. Just a few words are going to change. With work, getting to know your colleagues, get them to know you. Communicate what you know, right, at work. So don't be afraid to toot your horn. There's a fine line between arrogance and confidence. And so people accuse me, I'm sure I go over the arrogance line a little bit. Arrogance is getting out over your skis. Those people that know me know that I have an opinion about certain things, but if I don't know something, I'm not going to talk about it. So I'm confident about what I know. Believe me, I communicate what I need to know. I need to know from all of you, right, what's going on in the Treasury practices. What are your challenges? What do you want to see? How can I help you? What do I need to know? I try and keep out in front of that. I try to keep out in front of what's going on with resumes, with job search, what's going on with technology, what's going on with expectations, and then you have to actively collaborate with folks as well. And you'll see I'm doing a lot more collaboration with other organizations that serve the Treasury professionals like yourself. So those are all things which are the foundation. Again, also communicate your expectations as well. Some of these are for me. Listen, listen, listen. It's really important. It's kind of fun. If you've never done this, just experiment a little bit. Just let a pause go on in a conversation and see, especially if it's someone that works for you, if you do a pause You let it hang for about 15 or 20 seconds, people will start telling you things. All, it's like magical. So I have some content around that, how to listen. Learn the language of your professional colleagues. That helps you at work. Know that you care about them, invest in that. Ask people to tell you their biggest work challenges. They will help them solve those. Be authentic in your communications. And so for me, it's about building trust. So if something is going on that's going to have a negative impact with someone I collaborate with or someone at my company, I'm going to tell them straight up front. I'm going to be authentic, be who I am, and then build trust. This is really important. Once you build trust, they have no fear in communicating bad news to you. Wouldn't you love it if your staff would always communicate with you when something was going on, right? That's hard to get there, but if you invest in getting to know them, that's definitely going to happen. So those are important things about building your brand. Building your brand with your business partners, which is probably where I've kind of learned the most over the last few years. Well, key things here that we haven't really talked about. One thing is invest in being a good business partner, a good customer. I can really help you with that on the bank relationship side of things. You might want to invest in scorecard and things like that. So you need to communicate with your banks how they can help you, what you need to know, and give them information about your company as well. Get to know your business partners. Again, it's hard, but be a human being. Let them get to know you. Understand the value of your relationship and expectations. And so for some of my business partners, I probably stretch it too far, but I know what my value is to my business partners. I know I give them the lowest cost webinars that they can get. I know that I have the most accountability for that. I know what I can and can't do. And each of you who are my customers, you always get it honestly, authentically. I do my best, and I try and listen. And what I ask from you is just when it makes sense, please have a conversation with my business partners. If you're actually looking to do something and let others know if you like what you see from my organization. And that's all that I ask. That's my expectations. For your business brand, I mean, this really is some COVID advice. Realign on your expectations with your business partners every few months, because obviously there's a lot going on in the world, especially if you have relationships that involve companies in Europe or Ukraine or Russia. So make sure you do that. Be authentic, and then build that trust as well with all these different dimensions. What about your professional peers? You can really build your brand. Again, you have to have courage, and you all know how to do it. Happy to help you. Speak at live events, attend actual networking events, speak on webinars and podcasts. And you're like, I don't have time. Yes, you do. And you have a lot of knowledge. LinkedIn, very important. You can do direct posts. There's a lot of thing going on about polls. Do a little poll action. Our articles aren't so much blogs, and comment on posts so people start to see. They'll view you as a thought leader, or they see, or even post on there. Don't be afraid. Hey, I'm working on my cash forecasting and I'm having trouble with this. Does anyone have any advice for me? Reach out. And then another good way is if you see a speaker on a session, maybe you went to the Windy City Summit, you saw a speaker, they talked about cash forecasting, and you go up to the conference and ask them a question or follow up with them online. And then what'll happen is once you get plugged in with someone, they'll plug you into their network. I'm happy to plug anyone into my network as well. So let's talk a bit about empowering your team. So I'm going to add, this is my last polling question, I promise. So just want to get a sense, if you take an active role in the professional development of your team members. Again, I'm not going to judge you. I don't know if I've shared this data yet. Now with CFO surveys, a top priority for CFOs in delivering growth this year was actually labor and talent. So there is an appetite from CFOs out there to support that. In survey research that I've done in AP and Treasury the past few years, companies have indicated that they're going to invest more in professional development opportunities in 2022. So if you're not getting that, you should expect that. You should explore what those are. And so happy to have a conversation with you about that. We'll talk about that a little later on skill set, but it's something that you have the right to expect in today's world. And you need to do this as a leader. You'll be amazed how much more engaged your team is. Guess what? If you're a boss, even if you're the superstar boss, the great resignation is going on, people. And some people, they're ready to go. They think the grass is always greener. So just to let you know. All right, let me go ahead and close that. Thank you for that. Happy, thrilled to see that 50% of you strongly agree or agree. Neither agree or disagree. I hope we're give you some examples of how you can do that. And those of you that are willing to share with me offline, I'd like to know what you're doing. So what are you doing? What kind of programs are you offering? What's innovative that you're doing? Do you actually do a skills assessment, right, with your team? Do you actively track the skills people have, the skills they need? So here's one of my favorite diagrams you'll see again as a good boss, or really empowering your team to succeed, maximizing their impact, which will make your brand better as well as theirs. You have to offer them opportunities for personal growth. You have to get to know them, professional growth. You want to be what we call a good boss. Praise, vested in their success, and that's it. That's it. Do you track their professional development? Do you formalize it? Do you have goals around it? If not, that's something you should think about. Is your communication honest? Do people feel informed? Do they know how they fit? How are they accountable? Do they understand their professional value to your team, to your company, ways that they can improve their value and how they fit, values and ethics and positive environment? So all these things are incredibly important to supporting your team. Being a good leader, which means leading as well as being able to follow, is going to impact your brand. People sees your department, you're the rock star. Your treasury's a rock star department. The CFO's leaving. Guess what? He's going to look to you because he knows you're a good leader. He sees your people engage with the CEO and the CFO. They bring strategic value. I've seen your metrics. We worked with the metrics on you. We see that you're succeeding. We see that you're innovating. We see that you are empowering business growth. I mean, it all works together. And so your team, right? No, just know what makes your team tick, and ask them what the challenges they face. I actually told my bosses, you need to ask this to other people on our team, right? What are the challenges that people face? And a lot of times, if they're doing some kind of professional coaching, if you paid a lot of money for it, that's fine. I know it works for certain people. Guess what? It all comes down to get out of your own way, right? So perceived versus actual. Actual problems, make sure your team has a work-life balance, support your team members outside of work. Again, just going through some of the areas in terms of what we're going around on. Invest in developing the communication skills of your team. Get creative. You want to have some fun. Just have someone come in and do a little improv class with you. It's incredibly engaging. It's exciting. I've performed on the stage improv. It's really fun. You want to have people work on listening and building consensus. Of course, we want a virtual communication. We want to make sure that if anyone on our team is managing people, that they know how to manage people remotely. It's different, not only to work there. And then I call this mastering the types of yes with your team and yourself. There's a yes, straight out yes, which is great. A yes, but, which is that means you want to get to a yes, and yes, and is yes, we're going to do it, and we're also going to do that. So, and then value, again, people need to know their professional value. Again, just some specific tips for you to view after the session's over if you have an interest. And then we talk about employee engagement. You work with HR, or how do you do this, right? This is a little wheel that I came up with. And so just some specifics of how to do it. You got to define engagement. You have to do employee surveys. You have to make sure they feel comfortable managing, answering honestly. Do those every so often. You have to create metrics. We survey again, manage metrics, adjust metrics, and then survey, interview, observe, adjust, and then that's what engagement is all about. People feel like you hear their concerns, you know what makes them tick, you convey that you are paying attention to those things, you say that, show that you're invested in their professional development, you care if they leave, you care if they have a good work-life balance, showing your care, you care 24/7, and you actually support their success, and measure and manage your team success, and how define why they're valuable and why they want to stay. That's what engagement is all about. So wrap things up for you for our first power session here. Try and give you guys a little bit of a break, but we're fast and furious today. So hopefully you can grab some food and grab the sessions that you need to get to. I will be recording the session, so after the fact, if you have to miss a session, want to see that. But you need to invest in your professional brand. I think I've showed you all the dimensions of your brand and how to help optimize a lot of those dimensions. Your brand drives your career success, whether you see that or not. Your brand is on all the time at work with your colleagues, within your department, beyond your department. Networking, it becomes a way of life. You just automatically do it. Learning is a way of life. It's not a chore. The more you convey that you want to learn, the more engaged people will want to be with you. Everyone likes to share their knowledge, and then you need to empower your team and your colleagues. So I hope that you have enjoyed our first general session, and I appreciate your patience with our technology issues. You will enjoy the rest of your day if you catch a few more of our sessions today, and I sincerely appreciate your support of all that I do and also your support of how I do it. See you later on today at another session.